We're just contemplating life, really, to see whether any of the solo travellers might not be going home quite so solo. Anyway, I'm now going to interview Lord Thornbury. It's not one for the front of the camera, so this will now be a Q&A session. I will be asking the questions and Lord Thornbury will be answering. Okay, so this is Wednesday, the 20th of July, enjoying an excellent sea day on Queen Elizabeth, as our Captain Inga Kleiner Thornhauger would say. So, here's Lord Thornbury.
Hello.
Hello. So, Lord Thornbury, could you tell me some of your highlights for the voyage, please?
I started with a slight disappointment in that I was expecting a full pint of Peroni up in the main bar, and they only served bottles. But having got over that disappointment, I then found they had necks, so that was okay. Day 2.
So, could you tell me maybe about one of your excursions ashore?
Thanks to my due diligence beforehand, and excellent planning abilities, which I'm renowned for, someone got up their asses and booked all the tours and sorted them out. That would be me, in case there's any doubt.
Did you have a preferred excursion?
My preferred excursion was probably what I keep calling Venice. It was actually Sicily.
Close.
I don't know why I keep calling it Venice.
Not close enough, but close.
I think, there goes number 2. Number 2's walking past. I guess you shouldn't call it number 2, sat in the jacuzzi. I was clear
Jason! Anyway.
And I guess, yeah, so Sicily would be my my preferred revisit place, but I don't know whether we're actually going to get there.
And Lord Thornbury, let's just talk a little bit about the cuisine on board. Now, to keep you going for the last 17 nights, I think you could safely say that you have eaten a full cow single-handedly.
I have had
so would you like to tell me a little bit about the cuisine on board and maybe some of your preferred foods?
The cuisine is generally steak. But that was my option. There was, I believe, salad and fish, which I haven't yet sampled. So I think means to sample, and I will sample. Did I not have fish last night?
You had a whole chicken.
Had a whole chicken. Well, I was going to go for fish, but in the end, after a bit of clucking about, I went for chicken.
I think, in the words of my esteemed sister in Oldham, Ms. Elizabeth Monaghan, unless it's looked over a gate, it shall not be consumed. Would you think that was a fair comment for your choices this holiday?
I wouldn't want to consume the chicken that had looked over a gate, but I know what you mean, and that will be fair enough. You're a useless cameraman, because I've got to keep it in front of them.
I can film me through your glasses at the same time.
Oh, I see. Oh, right. So you're not...
you just come up a little bit marvellous.
You're not really filming me.
Snotty nose.
Oh.
Perfect. Anyway, could you tell me then a little bit about breakfast?
I have actually been very good with the breakfast, in that, bearing in mind it's following my gym sessions, I then had a light breakfast most of the time, it can be described as. With the occasional, I think only 2 visits to the sausage counter.
Now, a light breakfast would be, therefore, a bowl of fruit and fibre with a natural yoghurt.
It is.
A bowl of mixed fruit and melon.
It would.
Pots of coffee and 2 croissants. So, in the true sense of light, would that be
as long as you finish
light?
with the salad, it's a light breakfast. And that was fairly light.
Perfect.
Considering the everyday visit to the gym apart from the days we didn't go.
Well, we weren't able to go to the gym when we were on shore excursions.
That's true.
So, bearing that in mind, do you have sample breakfast in your room?
That was very nice.
Does that get
It
the
was very
thumbs
nice
up?
to be, certainly gets the thumbs up.
Gets a thumbs up from me.
The thumbs up from me. It was, did facilitate...
Quite like a roomy breakfast, as we've christened it.
It did facilitate going out and getting organised for going out a lot better than having to go up with the cheap seats for breakfast.
Marvellous. And you did do a Princess Grill breakfast where you consumed the full English, as I recall.
I believe it's compulsory it's in the word grill, so you have to have a grill of some sort.
Or you've had a Lido self-service
Grill.
déjeuner.
I did, and
Petit déjeuner.
that was just the sausages, and followed by the egg and a bit of crispy bacon. Which was very nice, all very good for you. But again, finishing with a fruit cocktail salad, making it a good for your breakfast.
So let's move on to lunch. Okay, lunch has been a rather mixed affair. You have had Princess Grill lunch in the main restaurant.
Is it indeed?
You've had a Princess Grill lunch in the courtyard.
I did indeed.
And you've had 2 or 3 Lido self-service lunches as well.
I have.
Any comments on the lunch situation?
Lunch is more good. It can be as light or as heavy as you wish. Now, in the in the grill, they did in fact have a lighter menu for lunch, which was very welcome. And I sampled lots of it.
Perfect.
So it's very good.
And sitting on deck 12 shortly after lunch would be the round of ice cream.
It was 2 hours later. It wasn't just after lunch. If you had a late lunch,
2 o'clock.
Unfortunately, it ran into... Yes,
2 o'clock was ice cream time.
2 o'clock was ice cream time.
2 scoops of a rather
Mandatory
nice flavoured ice cream.
Nice. It was more of a sorbet from the lunch rather than ice cream.
Oh,
really.
no, it was a very nice ice cream, I thought.
To be honest.
And then at 3:30, just as you were nodding off, would come the trolley.
That was it. It was,
bearing afternoon tea if you were on the deck.
Afternoon tea followed.
Or you could go inside and have your afternoon tea in the Princess Grill bar.
You could.
And
Or the lot.
that was very nice.
You could.
You could have
It was very
tea
interesting.
or coffee.
Tea became more of an interesting experiment. After several days... Sorry about the cameraman's action here. More interesting in sunbathing. After several days, the general clientele of the deck learnt that the rattle of the tea trolley meant cakes were on their way. Come day 14, it became a Pavlov dog experiment. The hinges of the doors could be heard creaking, the slight rustle of the tea trolley, followed by a creaking of bones as they all stood to attention in unison.
Shouting, tea up, tea up.
Tea up, tea up. Here comes the buns.
Anyway, selection of teas, coffees,
nice.
sandwiches, cakes and scones. Very nice.
They were very nice.
Just a little something to fill a tiny corner.
Fill that hour of non-eating.
Before you departed back to your cabin to attire yourself for the evening. Now, pre-evening meant for the Evans family a little selection from the fruit bowl, and then a trip into the shower to beautify oneself for the evening's entertainment. So it was a meet in the Princess Grill bar where, just to tide you over before dinner, a selection of hot and cold canapes, crisps, nuts and olives
at that point it had been 2 hours since you
were served with your beverage of choice.
Fill that gap. The long
so that
hour.
would be some lovely kettle chips, mixed peanuts, or perhaps rice crackers.
Canapes.
Little canapes, hot and cold canapes.
All homemade, I believe.
Indeed.
Very nice. Yeah.
Very nice. Then it was a little trip into dinner on our reserved table at the front there.
It was very nice not to have to queue.
Served by Don and Rainier, our personal waiters.
No, they have been excellent. They must be said, they have been excellent.
Georges, the sommelier, would come and suggest a little vino to complement the food.
A very, very sneaky sommelier. He would just appear out of the ground vertically, and there he would be.
Mr. Evans, Mrs. Evans, Dr. Evans, Mrs. Evans, Miss Evans, Mr. Nichols, good evening. May you be having some wines this evening.
Every time. So it was very nice. So we went for the 12 bottles for the price of 12, which was very good.
12 bottles for the price of 20.
That was very good. And you're drooping out a shot here. Get out a shot, okay?
We had to have a little taster session. Lady Thornbury would pass comment on whether she thought that had a fruity note or a little peachness or a hint of vanilla.
She did start to let us down.
Blackcurrant.
She did start to let us down towards the end because everything had peach in it, allegedly.
And it should have been gooseberry.
And in the end, the guy had to correct her and go, no, there's no peach in here. There's no oaky smell. Stop saying the same thing over and over again about the white wine.
And then I did have to have him thrown overboard because there was no Sancerre left.
And he did just disappear. To be fair, there was a complaint, what, no Sancerre, and we never saw him again. So...
Anyway, out would come a little amuse-bouche, which only one has been not quite to standard.
No one likes an old trout, let's be fair. And trout never goes down well, does it? So that was sent back.
Followed by starters. General array of loveliness.
Yeah. You never know what you were going to get with the starters. That was a bit hit and miss. Generally quite small, but it was just starters. So you had to have it. You had to have the starters. That was very nice.
Couple of bread rolls. Yeah. Cheese, plain, seeded.
The couple of
whatever
bread rolls
took your fancy.
Was aided by the fact that we sat next to bread rolls. So we had a lot of bread rolls. We were positioned for the bread roll dispenser, and he was dispensing bread rolls at a steady old rate.
And we'll translate for that. For the bread basket was just left over Cliff's shoulder and was easy enough to just turn around and sneak several more
Only the nights
from
that
the
Cliff
bread.
was sat next to the bread roll was that possible.
Otherwise, Cliff did ask his sister, Alison, chuck us a roll. Anyway, then we moved on to main courses.
Main courses. What can you say?
Beef, steak, Chateaubriand, steak au poivre, steak Diane,
all good stuff.
Côte de Boeuf.
Steaks were all very nice.
Most of it originating from Olney grounds.
Wherever that is. No, Romney Marsh
That
field.
was the lamb.
Romney Marsh
that was
football
if you
field.
had a lamb, it was Romney Marsh.
Yeah.
Romney Marsh. And where was the chicken from?
Is that a wig?
Where was the chicken from? Oh, the turkey was from Vermont.
Yeah, Canadian turkey.
And we said if it wasn't from Vermont, it would have to be sent back. Anyway,
it was very nice.
Nice it was too.
Yeah.
Puddings were a delight. Several of them flambéed by the table, by the maitre d' himself.
Yeah.
And then came the coffee and the little stand of petit fours. And then if that wasn't enough, just to entice you into a little further amuse-bouche on your way out, crystallised ginger, mint thins, and after dinner mint crisps.
It was intended as an occasional selection, not a drive-by scoop-up that some people turned it into. Hang on a minute, I haven't quite filled me bag full of ginger snaps yet, was the phrase. But then again, if they leave multiple boxes of chocolates opened on a tray,
You're going to eat them.
They're going to suffer, aren't they? It's going to disappear.
And then, just as you came out of the theatre or wherever you have spent your evening, if you were just fortunate enough to be on deck 9 at the Lido buffet, you could join the bun fight for Ovaltine, tea, coffee, and buns, pastries and biscuits. Just to make sure you were...
we did decline
we
that.
had one night where we had a little coffee and biscuit night.
Oh, good. Okay. So
Mainly because Ali and John made us do it.
That's
Of
true.
course, it wouldn't have been our choice, but
no,
you know.
you had eaten enough by then.
Oh
already.
yeah. And do you think you will have gained weight on this trip, Lord Evans? Lord Thornbury?
A little bit around the face, maybe. A little bit around the hips.
Bit of a paella face going on.
I must be said, my belt still fits the same loop. Can't breathe quite so easily, possibly.
Shall we just check that one out? Just 1 second.
Might have to cut that later. Yeah, but very nice. Very good indeed. Yeah, all very good.
And finally, last question is, would you like to tell us about some of your fellow passengers on board this voyage? Any particular travellers have stood out?
I think we better get off the boat first. I mean, it is an ageing population. I know we're all ageing, but it is an ageing population on the boat.
Any characters?
Talking of characters, there's our man in the stripy top.
There's no neck and the stripy top. Walking up the stairs, he's no neck for various reasons.
There's our fellow floodies.
Oh yeah, fellow floodie. Hello.
We're just sort of getting used to how we what the bed was like.
Any other characters have stood out? What about Oldie Toldie? Oldie Toldie.
Bit of a pie in the sky. What was his name?
Oldie Toldie.
Oldie Toldie. Bit of pie in the sky character.
Been there, done that.
Richard Griffiths.
Lookalike.
Who could be heard all over the dining room, unfortunately.
Surgically attached to his book.
He was indeed. Whether it was a book he was writing or colouring in, we're yet to find out. But he did take his book everywhere with him.
And there has been a lot of looky likeys on this cruise.
Well, it's been the real life Martin Bell. Now, I was looking forward to. He's aged badly, Mark. He has aged badly. I thought he was dead. But I mean, it's a long time since 1966 and the World Cup and all that. So we went along expecting various football anecdotes and
you ended up with some old war
talk.
correspondent.
And somebody was whittling on about what he did in the war.
Some old war correspondent in a white jacket.
In a light jacket. Oh, I think he's lost his marbles, the poor bloke. A single football reference. When I asked lots of football questions, nothing came back, nothing stirred. And how was Satan Greavesy getting on? No, he looked blank. That was it. So it was all rather a waste of time.
However, you did manage to interview our esteemed captain.
I did. Not that she knew it. It was more undercover steam cam. In that we were flooded out, unfortunately, but it was dealt with very well by the crew, swiftly by the crew, mopped up, carpets replaced, a small amount of inconvenience, and we were back in our cabin again. So you can't really complain too much. This is the most useless camera crew. I'm not working with you. Right, there we go. Back in the pool. It was swiftly dealt with, it must be said. We were ready with the Mark II documentary, The Flood, but unfortunately it didn't seem to come true. So that's that. And we were dealt with, bunged a few quid, bottle of wine, told the shark to go away, and we did. So that was all right. But anyway, so it was another little tale to tell of the cruise.
Well, you did manage to interview our esteemed captain in the theatre.
Well, not being one not to ask questions at these events, there was a question and answer session with the captain. It was a little bit fluffy for my liking. In the way I wanted to cut and thrust to the details of the boat, her career. It was, what's your favourite colour jumper and all that sort of stuff from the female people in the audience.
What did you think about the idiot who asked the question, do you go sailing on your days off, Captain?
I thought that was a very astute question, to be fair. And very poignant. Caught a bit of a laugh from the man who laughs at everything. Even the sad war stories from Martin Footballer Bell. But never mind, moving on from that. And of course, I didn't realise I was being videoed. No one asked my permission. No, I didn't ask her permission either, so I guess that makes us quit. So, there we go. But anyway, so very good. Thank you for interviewing.
You're very welcome.
Taking part. And we
join us tomorrow on Rise and Shine with Neil Kelly.
True. We'll send this into Neil and see if he wants to. Unfortunately, I think there's a hot topic of you can buy internet cards, and that does seem to trump anything else that's on the television. So, how you buy your internet cards?
Goodness me, you're not saying that Cunard goes in for the hard sell, are you, Mr. Evans?
You have to be aware of it, to be fair. That is one thing you have to be aware of. But once you've learned your lesson and you've been to 2 of their classes, you don't go to any more. But, anyway, thank you very much for your time.
Just beeps.
Pardon?
Just beeps.
It beeps. Oh, well, that's the battery gone. Goodbye. And goodbye from her.
Bye.
Goodbye.